Up next on the chopping block is a movie where the scariest thing about it is the fact that I spent an hour and a half watching it. Hello and welcome to RotD Review of the Day, and today I am looking at the 2018 American Fright Fest. Okay, I'm not going to bury the lead. This was absolutely terrible and nobody should watch it ever. It's not even so bad it's good. It's just simply bad. I'm going to make a statement, and I'm going to hold it to the end, but I think this statement will definitely be a good summarization. It's the one thing that I've thought ever since the credits started rolling. But let's actually get into the meat of this review and into the movie itself and get into the categories. So, as always, 4 different categories, each one worth up to 25 points for a total possible score of 100 points. And the plot, I gave a 2 out of 25. The plot follows thusly. A mayor is wanting to be reelected, so he wants to capture the spirit of the citizens, and what better way to do that than let's put on a haunted house? Sure, why not? Well, where can we do this? Hey, the old asylum's abandoned. Why don't we hold it there? Great. Well, how do we make this really work? Well, we have this washed-up B-movie director that's got his 3rd DUI. We can get him on board and revitalize his career, and one hand washes the other, and he can direct this Fright Fest, haunted house kind of carnival-ish thing for the citizens, and that will get me reelected. Sure, why not? That makes perfect sense. Oh, darn. A bus full of insane criminals happens to crash the opening night, and 2 of them escape, one of which is wrongly incarcerated, the other of which is the person that caused the crime that caused the first person to be wrongly incarcerated, and while one is causing deathly mayhem within the asylum, the other is trying desperately to stop him while also being side-eyed because he's an escaped lunatic. Oh my god, it was just terrible. Everything about it. Nothing was written well. None of the beats of a proper screenplay were hit. Just god-awful from start to finish. Made no sense. Just stupid, right from the concept. So 2 out of 25 for the plot. The intent. This was really weird for me. There was a point in which I wanted to see if people thought this was as bad as I was feeling it was. So I hit pause, I hopped on IMDb, I started looking at some reviews, and I can't help but think that there were some plants that were put in there. People giving it 10 stars. It just didn't add up. If somebody liked this movie, I can kind of see that. Maybe if somebody finds something about it that's redeeming and giving it 4 or 5 stars, fine. But 10 stars, and there were a lot of them, and that made no sense. And one person there said, hey, you're missing the point. This was supposed to be cheesy. This is spoofing and riffing on B-movies. All right. Okay, fine. I'll buy that for the moment, at least for the sake of argument. And the intent category now becomes a tricky thing for me. If it's trying to be a genuine scary horror movie, then it fell completely flat and gets a 0. If it's trying to be a love song spoof of cheesy B movies, then I feel like even in that case, it also failed pretty miserably. And here's why. I'm going to give this movie the benefit of the doubt, and I'm going to give it 2 for intent and not 0, supposing that it is spoofing and doing a love song to B movies. Is if you're going to do something like that, you either need to go really high or really low. You either need to make it very clear that you are doing a spoof, scary movie, the Wayans Brothers haunted house movie, Airplane, Top Secret. Those were all love songs to the genres that they were born from, and spoofing them to the point of ridiculousness, going really low. Fantastic, loved it, and if that is the direction that this wanted to go, it really should have done that. or go really high. One example I can think of right off the top of my head is Summer of '84. One thing that I loved about that movie was it took a subgenre of 80s teenagers going through adventure kind of things, Goonies-esque stuff, with that level of mischievous, vanilla-esque family values kind of tone to it, and then going a really dark direction and taking it down to a real world, gritty, dirt under the fingernails, dried blood under the teeth kind of movie. And really, it caused the tone that it started out with to really flip on its head. And that went really, really high. This just stayed even keel bad throughout. And if you're going to spoof something, if you're going to stay middle of the road like that, then you haven't spoofed it. The whole concept of B movies being cheesy with bad acting and so forth, that's usually just amateur filmmakers with a limited budget trying to knock out something that they felt was entertaining, and it happened to be cheesy, and oftentimes they'll gain a cult following and they'll stand the test of time in that regard. If you are trying to do that and you stay middle of the road, not going too low or too high, you are simply making a bad movie on purpose. That's it. And I'm not going to give it any more than 2 points for that. So even if that argument does hold up, I don't excuse it. So 2 out of 25 points for the intent. The acting, I gave a 4 out of 25. Definitely campy, definitely cheesy, cringe fest all around. Nobody sold anything. Even with a weak script, nobody elevated it to any point of being any way good. All the lines were just terrible and delivered horribly. Just horribly. And the technical, I also gave a 4 out of 25. The blood effects were awful. If you're going to splatter blood against the wall, then don't have it be clearly made with a water base and kind of separate out like that. Just nothing about it worked. Everything about it felt cheap and cheesy, right down to the technical stuff. The location itself, the characters made a comment that this place just keeps going on and it's a maze. Well, that's all well and good, but there were no geographic markers of any sort for the audience to have any kind of location understanding where they were at any given moment. I know haunted houses are supposed to be like that, but taking a movie that I've reviewed fairly recently, Hell House LLC, that was a haunted house where things went wrong. But they did a really good job of establishing the geography. If you were in the dining room, you knew where the basement was in relation to it by how well they did the camera work and how well they set everything up and the long shots that they took and the differences between the sets, subtle differences that you knew you had to get to the bar and then it was a right turn from there. This had none of that. One room was just like the next, and there were no geographic markers. There was no context. There was no clever camera work or editing to give you any kind of sense of where you were. It was very off-putting. So altogether, the technical gets a 4 out of 25, which gives us a total of 12 out of 25. I found myself just wanting it to end. I 3/4 of the way through, I'm like, just roll the credits, please. I would have walked out of the theater if I was in the theater if it was not for this review channel and wanting to deliver a knowledgeable review and not come from a place of ignorance and possibly miss out on the last 10 minutes being brilliant, that I needed to watch it all the way through. And I was really happy when the credits started rolling. So here's my statement, and I do not say this lightly. I don't think I've said this more than maybe a handful of times in my entire life. So take this for the weight that I put behind it. I regret watching this movie. If it weren't for the review channel and me being able to talk about this and warn people against it, then I would be holding a very deep regret as to spending my hour and a half watching this stupid thing. So yes, I actively dissuade people against this. Do not watch American Fright Fest. It's not worth even making fun of. It is just bad. And moreover, I think it was purposefully bad. So that's about the best I can say about it. And at this point, I'm done going on a rant. I'm done. I would love to hear from you. If you disagree with me, I would love to hear about it. Please leave comments below. I will be reading them and responding to them and engaging with them. And otherwise, I really appreciate you making me a part of your day. And next time you want to watch a horror movie, first make sure that it's good and rotted.